I took just bits and pieces and studies of them and what they were doing. And it's like a gumbo. And after I have studied those pieces, then the pieces that I liked, and I put it in the pot. Then I stirred it up, and then I poured Garry in.
On this episode, we're joined by guitarist, virtuoso, Garry Percell. He blends soul, jazz, funk, and many, many other things.
And with over 25 years in the game, he shares his process, the inspiration behind going in circles, and guess what? He's doing a live performance.
We always say this, but this is the episode you do not want to miss.
Smoke and Ice begins now.
Welcome to Smoke and Ice with Kelly and Wayne. This is the podcast where you're not only informed, but entertained. Sit back, relax, and remember, where there's smoke, there's fire, and you can't chill without ice. Now, here are your hosts, Kelly Allen and Wayne McCullers.
Today's bourbon is one of our favorites. It's one of our go-tos, Noble Oak Double Oak Bourbon. This one is a treat, guys. Now, when you take the first sip, it's going to give you the same classic bourbon, the sweet vanilla, the caramel, but the special part of it is the second step. It's seasoned in sherry, seasoned European oak. This gives you layers of dried fruits, toasted nuts, and a little hint of chocolate. And it's a warm, smooth pour, which makes it great for sipping. So we're about to sip. You want to go ahead and pour that for us?
Let's do it. All right. Say when.
When.
All right.
I think you guys will really like this if you want to try it. But for right now, we're going to try it for you.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Noble Oak. Yeah. I like this.
Yeah, I do too.
Pretty smooth. All right.
So, smoke.
The cigar for the day, we're doing the Karl Malone Barrel Aged by La Aurora. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So this cigar was aged in rum barrels for 6 months. So that gives it that distinctive wood and spice flavor that only comes from rum barrels or, barrels, period. However, this was just a rum barrel. So the good thing about this is that the wrap and the fill were Ecuadorian with Nicaraguan, Peruvian, and Dominican tobacco. So this should be an interesting smoke. Now, it's mild. It's a mild smoke, so we'll test that theory.
First time us having this one.
Yeah.
It's smooth. I'm trying to, when you gave all the
different places.
Not different places and the flavors and stuff like that. I'm trying to pick that up right here.
Yeah.
I think we've had better.
I think so too. Can't deny it. I mean, it's an easy smoke, but flavor-wise, I'm not doing backflips on it, just being honest with you. So
this would not be my go-to, but it's not bad. If you just want an easy pull, I guess would you say a light smoke?
Yeah, it's light smoke. Light mild smoke, so it's all right.
But it burns easily. It burns quick. It burns quick.
Very easy.
I didn't think to have, all this ash fresh, but this is why we're here, so we can try out new things. Tell us what you think. And if you have a cigar that you think we might like to try, then go ahead and leave it in the comments.
Well, I can say the mailman didn't deliver on this one. Nah, just kidding. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Our special guest is coming up next.
So don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Kelly Allen. Join me each weekday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for Midday Energy Rush on Positive365.net. I'll bring you all your favorite music from every genre and every decade, plus comedy and positive thoughts all in one place. Go to Positive365.net and you won't be disappointed. That's positive365.net. We're positively different.
Positively different. Positive 365.
Our guest today is a renowned, celebrated guitarist hailing from Reedsville, North Carolina. He has over 25 years experience in gospel, R&B, smooth jazz. You name it, this brother can play it. Today, our guest is Mr. Garry Percell.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be in here today.
We thank you. We thank you so much. Early, y'all missed it. We had a good jam session, so you missed some good stuff. So before we get started, tell me about your beginnings in Reedsville.
Wow, beginnings in Reedsville. I come from a musical family. My mother is a pianist, and of course, we all got started in gospel music. She played piano for so many different churches in our community. So when Mom went to a different church, for choir rehearsals, she carried us along with her. And so we were accustomed to sitting around, hearing a lot of piano playing, and her teaching different vocals to different choirs and parts, sopranos, y'all open y'all mouths, and all of that. So we got that early schooling, young with Mom. And then, of course, later on, then Dad looked to other children to play other instruments. So the first instrument that Dad got me was a bass guitar, and to accompany Mom, with her playing piano. This goes back to James Cleveland days and all of that. So back then there was only that you heard a lot in the churches was the piano player and maybe a bass guitarist and a drummer. And that's in some churches, but never too much guitars unless, it was quartet music. And so I did branch over into quartet music for a while and played quartet as a young guitarist and learning how to play. I was introduced to a guy, and he created a group called the Soul Seekers. And so I was part of that. It was just a lot of young guys, and that introduced me into playing guitar through quartet first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and at Reedsville High, you put together a lot of groups and things like that coming up.
Yeah, small town, so it's not a whole lot to do. So a lot of us that saw other guys that wanted to play instruments and like to start a band, and it got really contested, for a while, in the small town because it was broken down into different communities. So this community had a bunch of guys that could play, and they were over there practicing at the shed, and then we were on another street or road, and we were practicing in our little group. So stuff started going around town, like, oh, we got the bass guitar player, in town. Oh, we got the baddest, drummer or whatever. So we had our little battle of the bands around town, and that was a good thing because what it did, it created an environment for everybody to really excel and learn an instrument, to want to be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like Wayne said in the beginning, jazz, gospel, R&B. When composing, what's your inspiration, or how do you lean into a specific genre, or when you're deciding to compose a work?
Yeah, right now I'm in, the genre I'm in is contemporary jazz and quote unquote smooth jazz. And this is a little bit different for me than where I normally came out of, because coming up, I went through the whole era of the Jimi Hendrix thing and the, and the rock guitar kind of stuff, the Ernie Isley stuff, as far as the sound of guitar through that, through the Motown stuff, Temptations and all that stuff. And you go through that whole scenario, of different music. And so we got opportunity to learn to compose, R&B sound music, rock and roll kind of sound music, all of that. And don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I had a little gap in between, we'll get to that later, hopefully. And so in that gap in between that time, but I have been listening to a lot of guitarists coming up. I just studied a mixture of different genres in music. I love country music. Chet Atkins, I had listened to him on guitar. Roy Clark on Hee Haw, because we didn't have but ABC, NBC, CBS. Right. And so when Hee Haw came on, you know, we were around the television set, and I was just amazed by some of the guitar work that was being done there. And Roy Clark was just, wow, blew me away with his guitar playing. Because people get lost in his playing because of all the comical stuff that he does when he's playing.
Right.
You know, the picking and grinning, you know. But if you just close your eyes, you'll be blown away by his playing. So there was a little gap for me, but I got a chance to dibble and dabble in different genres, you know, Earl Klug with the classical guitar kind of stuff. And after I came out of the gap, we get back to the gap. After I came out of the gap, then because I had studied a lot of other smooth type music and different other stuff, then smooth jazz was just so easy for me. Right. Because smooth jazz or contemporary jazz has a deep root of jazz is there, but it has a deep root of R&B there too as well. So that transition for me was pretty easy. Yeah.
So with all you just named, with so many great guitarists, how do you create your own sound within that mix so you can stand out amongst all your other peers?
That is a very deep question. And the reason for that is because we stand on the shoulders of so many other greats, guitar players. No matter how we try to invent something that is new, it's very hard to invent something that is new because so many greats have created these things before. When I was listening to, you know, Wes Montgomery, you know, with the double octave stuff. So then you have, coming off of him, you've got a George Benson that emerged. Right. And then you've got a Norman Brown. Well, all that goes back to him. So, you know, so what we do, what I do, all of those that I named, I took just bits and pieces and studies of them and what they were doing. And it's like a gumbo. And after I have studied those pieces, then the pieces that I liked, and I put it in the pot. Then I stirred it up, and then I poured Garry in. Right. And so it's like, you know, Ernie Isley as a guitar player, so how he plays, then I would just put my twist on what he does. And so with all these different mixtures of different people, you will find yourself in it because there are no two people that are identical alike when they're playing or even performing. So as much as you try to hide it, your true self will emerge. But all of these things that you hear come out is bits and pieces of all these people that you studied along the way. Right.
So your recent release, Going in Circles, it was done by Isaac Hayes, Luther Vandross, greats. And now you've done it with my brother, Tony Terry. Yeah. So, and it was amazing. Listen, I love it.
Thank you.
What was your inspiration behind picking up that cover and then collaborating with Tony on that song?
In my studio and working on my EP. So Going in Circles was one of those songs that I loved from way back in the 60s.
I'm an ever-rolling wheel without a destination for real. I've been ever spending time whirling around until I drop. What am I supposed to do? My mind is in a whirl. Give me a little hope. One small thing to cling to. You got me going in circles.
And it's just a pure song. and a true pure love song. The way that it's written in the lyric, so it always have stuck with me. And so I was going to do this song as a instrumental, and so I was in the studio one evening and just going through my material and going in circles was the next song up, and so the track was there that I had created. And then as I was listening to it, I said, you know what, I don't have any lead vocal, any lead person singing on this song as lead vocal. And as I was listening to it and put it on loop, and then all of a sudden I heard Tony Terry's voice singing on it. And I said, wow, it would be great for this song to feature Tony on here, along with my guitar work. And I said, I can never get Tony Terry to sing this song. And so the Spirit of the Lord in the Spirit says, you have not because you ask not. And so I said, okay, well, I'll ask. And looked around and found his management agency, called them, let them know what I was trying to do, try to get in contact with Tony. And then they responded to him. He responded back, to them and says, wow, yes, I would love to hear it. Send me the track. And so sent him the track. He got back with me and says, wow, I've always wanted to cover that song. And that was the beginning. And
Wow.
So we just back and forth and collaborated, with this song. And my thing is that with a song, a classic like Going in Circles, I wanted to stay true to that song. I did not want to produce it or arrange it too far away from the original.
Right.
And, because it's just something magical about the original, and that I was afraid that I would lose the essence of that song. And so the production on it, along with a good friend of mine, Adam Hawley, and we used West Coast musicians at that time, all the ones out of LA, to record it. And with Tony's voice on it, it just fits so perfectly like a glove. I don't know what else to say about this song. It's really it's just special. Well, it's special to me. So yeah, I tried to stay as closest to the original as possible. And Tony, in our language back and forth, was the same way. It's like certain things about the song that you just got to keep that as that. But of course, our friend Tony, I don't even say any more about that. I mean, because he put, as we spoke before, he put Tony in this,
Right.
and just made it what it is.
Well, first of all, he sings on key. He's never off. He's perfect.
Yes,
His voice is perfect.
Absolutely.
So with your perfection and his perfection, it
Yeah.
just made for a really, really great, really, really great.
And that's a little nugget with that too. Tony did his vocal on it, and then he sent it back to me, and I said, that's perfect, Tony. Great, fantastic. Oh, I love it. And that it stayed that way for probably about 2 days. And then he called me back. He says, have you mastered that yet? And sent it to me. I said, no. He said, don't do anything with it. and he says, because I want to cut that over again. So he cut it over again. And he did. He took it to another level from there.
That's
So
Tony.
perfection, man.
Yes,
Perfection.
Well, with that being said, do you find it, when you're in your zone, do you find it hard working with other musicians from time to time?
I don't. Now, to be honest, certain musicians is just like anything else.
Right.
It's like, hope I don't get in trouble with this. It's just like having too many cooks in the kitchen when everybody thinks that they are the master chef.
Mm-hmm.
And but when you are in an environment where everybody knows exactly what their role is,
Right.
and what we're shooting for, we have a common goal, then everything works like a hand in glove.
So it all just clicks.
It all just clicks. And then, as we say, then when that situation is formulated like that, and that's when it opens up the door. And I use this term a lot of people use. That's when the magic happens.
Right.
But then on the other side, because I can't shut the door on this other side, we'll talk about that later, is that, you know, that's when you allow the spirit of the song, the spirit of the song to come forth. And I think that's what makes really good songs, is when you allow the spirit to come forth through that song, because that song has to be birthed.
So I don't want to go too far because we kind of jumped. You kept talking about this gap, this gap in time. So
gap.
What is this gap in time?
Well, the gap in time is my journey, you know, starting from beginnings as a young guitarist and moving on up and moving through. And at one point I decided right out of high school what I wanted to do in life. And that happened to be a guitarist. So I started pressing forward and started to jump off the cliff, if you will, you know, and start to take risk because you have to. Certain things you just got to take a risk. And so I was called by a good friend of mine, Robert Irvin III, who happened to be at that time, he had gotten the job as one of the keyboardists with Miles Davis. And he was living in Chicago, and he says, hey, a lot of good things are popping off in Chicago. You need to come on up to the city. So I went up to the city and worked with this recording record label at that time that he was working with as well. And we were recording things up under that label with different other artists. In that gap in that time of moving, it is that with that label, I believe Daryl Jones was the bass player whose nickname was Munch, who played for David Sanborn and different people. Background section was The Emotions, female, did all of that. So many other different people. So I had a time there in Chicago working with that label. And now as I was there working with the label out of Chicago and working with Robert, who introduced me into that scene, then I got a call from a friend of mine back down south, North Carolina, say, hey, you want to get out of the city, there's a group that's looking for a guitarist. I said, what group is that? You know, and he says, chairman of the board. And I says, okay. So got a plane ticket, flew down to Charlotte, North Carolina, auditioned for the guitarist for the chairman of the board. They chose me from the other guitarists. So I got back down south. And that was great, because the thing about it is that I believe what got me that job is, and the leader of that group kind of told me later on when we started going out on tour, was that he said that I played the guitar stuff of their material like it was when they first recorded it. And then the reason for that, I had to tell them why is that, because when I was 8 years old, I was learning their music off of 45 records. That's how my beginning happened, because I was listening to Chairman the Board. You Got Me Dangling on the String, you know, Dance to Music, Got to Pay to the Piper, all of those songs. You know, Everything is Tuesday. I was listening to my older brothers and sisters' 45 records in the basement and learning how to play guitar. So when I got the opportunity to play with them, all of their material was not foreign to me. I knew it from the essence, from the 60s and through the 70s. After the chairman of the board, then there was a few other things in between. But then when I was with the chairman of the board, and we did a southeastern tour of the United States, and then as we were flying back on the plane, a private plane, and flying back, and a voice spoke to me and says, it's time to come home. And so I said, okay, it's time to come home, you know. And he says, yeah, I got some work for you to do. So when I got back home, I told my wife at the time that I wasn't going back out on the road anymore. She said, what? And I said, yeah, I'm not going back out on the road anymore. And she said, why? What happened? And God spoke to me. He says, he has work for me to do. And so, born and raised in the church and having a relationship with Christ, I knew his voice. He knew my voice. So I just gave all of that up on the road and followed him. And in the process of that, I called the agency that Monday morning and told them that I wasn't coming back out on the road anymore. They were shocked, you know, and that started my journey into the ministry. So that's the gap that I was mentioning about, is that God wanted me to start a ministry, a music ministry. And so I went throughout the community and gathered up some musicians and singers, had about a 14-piece ensemble, and started that process. Getting to the end of that journey, God birthed about 4 ministers out of that group. I wasn't a minister at that time, so I was running for a while, and all of a sudden then I heard him say, and I had to answer that call. And when I answered that call into the ministry, then everything else has to cease. He put it to me is that I have chosen you and kept you for this time in the ministry. He says, but you're going to have to love me more than you love. You know how much I love my guitar. Right. And so I set the guitar down for many years, went to seminary school and all that, studied myself to be approved, started preaching the gospel. Then my senior pastor at that time, after years had passed, called me up and says, hey, I need to send you over here. So I went over there, and because this church was looking for a pastor. And I just went there to preach. That's it. And then my wife says, have you ever thought that they may call you to be pastor? And I says, no, not at all. I never wanted to be a pastor. Then I got that call. And I've been pastor now for 10 years, this particular church. Now, a couple of years back now, 5 years ago, I asked the Lord, I said, okay, God, this is where you want me, plant it here. And I said, will you ever let me or allow me to pick my guitar back up and play again? Now, he answered right back and says, you've been faithful of a few things. Now I'm about to make you rule over many. And so I picked it back up. And that started this journey. And everything just fell into place. And so I met Adam Hawley, and as a producer, and he produced my first record, and that record did very well out on the contemporary jazz market. But I needed someone to help usher me in. So when I first came out with that first song, we got a feature for the record, and that feature was actually the saxophonist by the name of Marcus Anderson. Okay, so Marcus came in on the feature of that song, and that song did very well on radio. I think out of the contemporary Billboard charts, 100 chart, that first record reached up into the top 30, and that was kind of unheard for because nobody knew who I was. That's another story in itself. People who knew who it was. Got calls from a lot of people out there that says, hey, who are you? Never heard of you before. But that's what God does. Yeah. And so that was the gap. The gap is when I put the music down for several years and followed Christ.
How good did it feel when you picked your guitar back up? Did it feel like how when you handed it to me you was like, hold this? Did it feel like that? Did it feel that good?
It's such a part of you. Over the years, because I remember my desire to want to be a musician, want to be a good player, and to play that. I would actually, with 8 years old, 9 years old, I used to sleep with my guitar, have it in my hand, play a few notes, fall asleep, have it there. And even when I went to school, even up through my senior year, because we had study hall. And so you had that free hour, of study hall. That what I would do during that time is that, because I should take the guitar to school with me. And of course, I didn't care if they thought I was a nerd. Who is this guy bringing the guitar to school? Everything. So, and so doing study hall class, they would allow me to go in this back room. And what I would do during that time is practice, so playing guitar is just an extension of who I am. It's like an extra limb, and so when I picked the guitar back up, it was like, man, been missing this, and but everything just clicked like I never stopped. Right. And that's the magnificent thing about how God does, is that, and that's another thing, because yes, I am a pastor, and I preach the gospel, but pastoring in my ministry is a calling, but guitar is my gift. And so picking it back up and playing it like that, and then embarking on this particular song, in the genre that I'm in now for the first time, and did so well on the charts and all the major radio stations picked it up instantly. That was like, I couldn't believe it, because it was like a miracle to a degree. It's like I had never left music as a guitarist. So it felt great. It felt great, and it still feels good.
And it sounds good too.
Yeah.
So are there any other collaborations? Anybody else that if you could work with them, because you mentioned Marcus Anderson, Tony Terry, is there, and then all that you've done before your gap, is there anyone else that you would want to work with?
That I would want to work with?
Yes.
Okay. One of the persons that I really would like to work with in the future would be Jonathan Butler. And it's because never met him, never spoken with him, but it feels like there's a strong connection there because he is a man of faith, and just the way that he expresses himself musically through vocal, and unquestionably about his guitar playing, his guitar work. So that would be someone that I would love to work with and collaborate with him on, because I just sense that it would be something that we could connect with on many levels, on the spiritual side, and and on just the love of music.
Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus. Falling in love with Jesus was the best thing that I've ever done.
Yeah, it would be Jonathan Butler.
Yeah, I would look forward to hearing that collaboration. I think that'll be awesome. Yeah. Definitely. Go ahead. You have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Actually.
You good?
Listen, I'm so enamored. Like I got caught up.
So from the studio to stage presence and performance, what's your creative process during that transition? Do you find it easier in the studio, or do you like the stage better?
Probably both, and I say that a little differently. In the studios, you got that private time where you can really kind of deal with the material, and you can. It's like babysitting, and you're dealing with the song, and then he says, "Okay, let me leave that alone for a minute. Let me walk away for a while and come back." And then you'll come back to it once again. So it's exciting. Then when you come back to it, you hear something totally different from a different space. And you say, "That's it. I was messing with that too long, but here it is." But then from the stage, I love the stage because I believe that's what it's the communication thing that I really like. What I really like is that this thing about music is how a person can come to one of your performances. They may have a lot going on, or wherever they are in life, and you have an opportunity to change that moment for them, and it when it happens, and because you can see that smile on their face. Sometimes I can play 1,000 notes on guitar, but only one note can make a difference with one person or how I play it. And if I play that and I see the reaction from that person, my job is done for the whole night, because that right there touched something. It was the spirit. And I believe that's what music is intended to do. It's intended to change the atmosphere. It's intended to help people. It's intended to communicate to people, one spirit to another spirit. And so I love performing on the stage just for that reason right there. It's engaging with people and making them feel what I'm feeling. But here's the catch: is that make them feel what I'm feeling, but I want to feel what they're feeling too. So it's going back and forth.
Reciprocated.
Yeah.
So what's next on the horizon for you? Any tour dates? Any, what do you plan on doing next?
Well, I'm seeking out some tour dates for 2026. Got some irons in the fire, for that. My situation is a little bit different because I'm really particular about dates that I choose because I'm still pastoring. So I'm not going to let the tour thing interfere with my calling and being responsible to where I am with my flock. Saying that is that God will make a way. And so therefore, there are some things that are out there right now that are pending, different things for 2026. But I do have something that's coming up actually this month too as well, on the 27th. And it's for a very good cause. It's part of Musicians Empowerment Conference. And I got a call from them, and they wanted me to do the finale of their conference, which is a two-day conference, Friday and a Saturday. So at the end of their conference with musicians, where they have clinicians come in. I have been a clinician with them before, and so different clinicians will be in progress during the day, where young musicians or aspiring musicians or older musicians can come, ask questions to those clinicians and learn things and see what they're doing. And so they wanted me to close it out on Saturday, on the 27th, to actually do that with a concert. So I will be in concert on the 27th of September, the Garry Percell Experience. Yeah.
Do you watch over the musicians at the church? You lead the musicians at the church, or you got somebody else doing that?
Well, I will be honest with you. My church is an older traditional church.
Okay.
And so therefore we only have one pianist. Okay. And so I pretty much just let him, do his thing. But when other people know about what I do, it's like some of my parishioners, they have purchased my CDs,
right?
And my music, some of them that are there, and been to some of my shows, so they know what I do, and they know the type of discipline that I have and expectations that I have. But I don't impose that on my musician at the church, because I know what the limitations are. And so therefore, I let them, be who they are. And it's working. And so if it's not broken, there's no need to fix it. But I am still in prayer. And if you will still be in prayer that God will send me a crew, then I would be more than welcome. Yeah. So I don't really play that much or often at my church's guitar at all. There's probably going to come a time, but I'm patient.
So if anyone wanted to reach you and wanted to know how to book you or just contact, how would they be able to do that?
Well, they can reach me, especially Facebook. They can do that, and just simply my name, Garry Percell. And so just look me up on Facebook, Garry Percell, or on IG, Garry Percell _ the artist, or they can reach me by website, on the internet, and just www.GarryPercell. And they can reach me. Yeah.
Nice.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, listen. I got a good treat for you all. I want you to all settle back, grab your glass, your juice, whatever you want, because we're about to get a live performance of Don't Stop from Mr. Garry Percell.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
You're welcome. That was amazing.
Awesome.
It was such an incredible conversation with Garry Percell tonight, and an awesome performance. I hope you enjoyed it.
Hey, big up. Thank you so much, Garry.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Purcell. Thank you all for just showing up and just blessing us with your presence.
No
and
problem.
It was a wonderful interview.
And thank you guys for rocking with us tonight and always showing up and being faithful to us as
Absolutely.
usual. Remember to subscribe, like, and share, because if you don't, we can't be here.
Can't do what we do.
Just kidding. And as always, I'm Kelly.
I'm Wayne.
And I'm Garry.
Let's spark something real.
We hope you've enjoyed Smoke and Ice with Kelly and Wayne. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend so they too can be informed and entertained. For more information about the show, go to smokeandice.net.